All right, creatures of the night, let's talk about Collision. I know a lot of people was watching Fastlane, but I was tuning into the results here and there. Now, Collision did have a special start time, which was at 7 Eastern, and somehow I missed a memo. AEW did post also that they were starting at 8 as well, so I guess there was a bit of a confusion when it comes to what time the show actually started. There might be some issues with the ratings. Anyway, we had our opening match, FTR versus Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Now, right off the bat, they throw Cash Wheeler onto the announce table. So we don't see him for a little bit. And now it's basically a handicap match with Dax versus Big Bill and Ricky. Ricky's super aggressive. And I'm like, okay, Ricky, you really want to win? I totally get it. Now, he brings in Big Bill into the match. Big Bill is still taking control, but then they take him outside of the ring, and Ricky tells Big Bill to stop what you're doing with Dax and take care of Cash Wheeler. He grabs Cash and he slams him onto the announce table. The announce table is a flat onto the ground. Then they bring Dax back into the ring and he's still in control. And then he slams Dax onto the mat, gets on top of him for the pin. Ref is counting, but Ricky's like, let's run that back and do it again. So then Big Bill slams him again, gets on top, ref is counting, and Ricky's like, let's do that again. So he does it for the third time. Then Ricky's like, tag me in. So he tags him in and gets in, and then we have Big Bill holding on to Dax, who's basically lifeless and can barely stand on his own, while we have Ricky go for a spear. 1, 2, 3. We have new tag champions? Holy shit. I was very surprised about this. I don't know what it is. Cash ain't do a damn thing. He ain't lift a finger in this match whatsoever. And Dax seemed to be defenseless in this match, which is just so weird. And I'm just like, look, after we got that epic match with Dax and Cash versus Jay and Juice that went on for damn near an hour, we get something like this for 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes. I cannot even believe this. One of them or both of them are injured and they could not make this long enough, or they're in hell of a trouble with somebody back there. I don't understand why it had to be like this. I'm not mad about the titles changing hands. I just did not like the way this went. Either way, they gave us something unpredictable to start off the show. So I'm cool with that. But damn, like this, I don't know. But congrats to Big Bill and Ricky Starks. So now we have Bryan Danielson versus Kyle Fletcher. We start off slow. They're teasing us. I'm okay with that. Now, I'm not going to lie. We do have this crazy spot here where Kyle Fletcher is going to do a tope suicida onto Bryan, who is pretty much leaned up against the barricade. When he goes for this dive, he pretty much eats up the whole barricade. So he pretty much missed Bryan by like 98%, and Bryan still, sells it or whatever, but it's very apparent that he missed him by a whole lot, and he looks like he hit his head and neck pretty bad onto the barricade, but that was right before the commercial, and you know how it is during a commercial. The heel's gotta be on top during a commercial. So now he's taken in control after that somehow, and after the commercial break, we come back, and here's Kyle going for an enziguri onto Bryan Danielson, who's against the turnbuckles. Now, when Bryan sees this, he moves out the way, and Kyle ends up hitting his knee onto the turnbuckle, and now he's screaming in pain, holding onto his knee. Big mistake, Kyle, because Bryan Danielson now knows your weakness, and he goes after that knee for a portion of this match. Now, I'm thinking, all right, things are going downhill for Kyle. It's just going to end real soon. However, Kyle switched it up and puts Bryan Danielson into a dragon sleeper. Holy shit. Now, the crowd is loving it. They're feeling it. I'm feeling it too. Really great chemistry between these guys. Now, Bryan actually has been wrestling longer than Kyle has been alive, so that is very interesting. But Kyle's is able to, hold his own against Brian. Now, Brian breaks out of that sleeper, and once again, we got Kyle, who seems to be having a little bit more control here. And he tries for a sleeper again. However, Brian, he ends up countering out of that into a European clutch and ends up getting both of Kyle's shoulders onto the mat. Ref counts 1, 2, 3, and Brian wins. It was a super clean, beautiful counter. Loved it. Now, before we can even celebrate Brian winning, here comes the Gates of Agony putting a beat down on Brian. And I'm just like, whoa, where the hell is this coming from? But then I forgot that Brian actually has a match against Swerve Strickland on Dynamite. Tuesday Night Dynamite, you guys, Tuesday. So that makes sense as to why that happened. Now he's getting his ass handed to him by the Gates of Agony. So then here comes Claudio and Wheeler Yuta, obviously coming to the aid of Bryan Danielson, and they're fighting with them or whatnot. And we do get a chance for the Gates of Agony to retreat and get to the back before things can get even worse. And I'm liking where we're going with this. They end up announcing that we're going to get Wheeler Yuta and Claudio versus the Gates of Agony on, not Collision, on Rampage next week. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. This was a really great way to keep going with the show. All right, you guys, up next we have trios action with a Bullet Club Gold versus Gravity, Metalik, and Angelico. Now, the match was decent, but it didn't grab me the way I like to be grabbed, so it is what it is. Now, Juice ends up taking the win for his team, and that finisher he used is some type of variant of a DDT, and that shit looked nasty. Like, literally, Metalik's neck looked like it was snapped for a second. I hope he's okay. Now, after the match, we have Jay who comes in, and this bitch has a triple B still. And he's celebrating, and they also even bring in Cardboard Jay into the match. Into the ring, and they're all happy about the win or whatever. And he has a match against Hangman on Tuesday. And he's like, well, since he don't know where MJF is and he can't come and get this title off of him, he might as well say that he's the champion. And with his match against Adam Page, that's essentially an eliminator match for the AEW World title. Now, Jay has beaten Adam 3 times already. So he's 3-0 against Adam. And this is going to be the 4th time that he's going to end up winning, he says. And really, I'm really interested to see how this match ends up going. I really do hope we get a chance to see MJF come in between that to make things a little bit more interesting with their feud. Now, I do have to say one more thing before I move on. When it comes to this feud with Jay and MJF, the very last person Jay should face and actually beat in order to look like a really incredible opponent for MJF for the Triple B is Samoa Joe. MJF obviously had a really great match with Samoa Joe. However, he won that match by cheating. Yeah, I hate to admit it. But if Jay can have a match with Samoa Joe before going in the ring with MJF and beat him clean, holy shit, that makes him look even better than MJF. So I do hope that Tony Khan puts his thinking cap on and gives us something like that before we get Jay versus MJF. That would be the best thing to do. Tony, book it. So now we get a promo from Nick Wayne, who's basically explaining his actions from Wrestle Dream. Now, he says that when he was young, Darby abandoned him when he needed him the most. And since he's been in AEW, it's almost like Darby has been taking credit for Nick Wayne being there. It's always Nick and Darby, Darby and Nick. And really, he's just taking a lot of the glory. He don't want anything to do with Darby. And since Christian has been around, he's realizing that Christian is the father figure that he absolutely needs in his life. And you know what? Nick, I hear a little bass in your voice. I can see a little bit of change with you turning heel or whatever. But you're going to have to convince me, and it's going to take a lot more. I want to see what more can you do as a heel. Now, after this, we do have the Iron Savages and Jack Jameson versus The Acclaim and Daddy Ass. This was actually a fun trios match. And I don't know what the hell's going on, but there's a lot of sexual innuendos and shit going on through this match about ass and all this stuff. It was a little weird, but it was still fun. Now, Iron Savages, I've been saying a lot of great things about them, and every time I see them in the ring, they are looking so much more as a tag team and also as a trios. Whenever Jack is in the ring with them, I really do enjoy them, and I enjoy the fact that this was not a squash match. And since the Acclaim has won the trios title, this is the first match that they've had that they actually felt like you're looking at champions because their opponents were actually in the ring giving them an actual fight, and it was more than 2 minutes. So this was actually enjoyable. Now Max takes the win for his team, and then he does this thing like he's eating pie or maybe ass. I don't know what the hell he's doing with his tongue and all this shit after the match. But Max, whichever one you're into, give me a call. See what we can arrange. Now, speaking of ass, we have Kiera Hogan versus Tony Storm. And yes, there was a lot of ass slapping, hip attack, and eating ass. Whatever the hell Tony Storm was doing with Kiera's butt. Yeah, very strange. Maybe not so strange for the men who's watching. They probably enjoyed that. We even had Diamante who tweeted for Tony to get her face at her girl's ass. Whatever all that's about. Whatever. It's a Saturday night. We're having fun. Now, look, Tony does win. Who's surprised? I'm cool with it. I love her character that she's been doing. She's sticking to it, and she looks like she's having fun. And she's a great wrestler, so I do appreciate her in the ring. However, Kiera looked really good in this match, and the thing is, with them having only one female match per show, except for Ring of Honor, we usually get three on Ring of Honor because they're spitting out matches for fucking no reason. But all the AEW shows, there's always one female match per show. And when they're so focused on just Tony Storm on every show, it takes away from building other girls. So you just seen her on Dynamite looking great, then you see her on Collision looking great and being put over all the other girls. What happens with them when you keep putting that same focus on a girl who's going from show to show to show and winning? It takes away from the other girls. So I'm hoping that they find a new formula when it comes to the girls, because you're only giving them one time on a damn show to show what they got, and just, having a match. And even if Kiera loses and look great, this is still not enough for her. You got to do more to build her up and these other girls too. That's pretty much my only complaint with that. So next we have Ruby Soho. She's with Renee Paquette, and she says that even though she did not win an opportunity to go against Saraya for the AEW Women's title, she's going to be ringside and supporting her girl. However, Renee lets her know that she's actually banned from ringside. Now, Ruby's not happy about this, but she thinks that regardless, Saraya doesn't need her to retain the title, so Saraya's all good. Now, up next, we do have Eddie Kingston versus Commander. This is actually the main event, and the Ring of Honor World title is on the line. Now, right off the bat, Eddie realizes that, hey, this Lucha Libre style is so different from his, so he's going to have to think smarter and hit harder, and that's exactly what he does in order to take the win and retaining the title. This is exactly what needed to happen. But let me say this though, I do believe here in this case that there's no reason why the Ring of Honor title should be defended on AEW. This is something that's supposed to be for Ring of Honor. Why the fuck do you have people paying money for Ring of Honor, but then you're putting titles up on the line on a show that you basically have that's included with your cable or however the hell you're watching it? I don't like that. And another thing too is Collision has been having a reputation when it comes for main events that makes it feel more special compared to the other shows. And also, I don't remember really seeing any main event that was less than 20 minutes since they started with Collision. And this was definitely the shortest main event that they've had on Collision thus far. So I didn't like that either. The match was decent, but it just felt like this is not what we do over here in Collision. Tony Khan, let's stick to the original formula that we had before. But then again, we do have Edge that's closing out the show. So I'm guessing that's why they shortened out this main event. All right, so now we have Adam Copeland who comes out. Everybody is happy and marking out. We love you, Adam. And the first thing he does is he have a little shout out to JR. Now he talks about how JR had signed him, and because of him signing him, he was able to pay off his college debts. We love you too, JR. Now, I forgot to mention this, but JR usually comes out for the main events. And throughout the whole show, Nigel and Ian did not have no table for them to be watching commentary, to watch the show on to do their commentary. But as soon as JR came out, they made sure they brought a table with him as well. Now, here's Adam. He's saying like he don't know what happened with Christian and why Christian said what he said last week. And he refers to Nick Wayne as being his Persian cat. When he said that, I was thinking, like, are you talking Pokemon like Giovanni in Persian? He's probably thinking that. I don't know. I love Pokemon, by the way, you guys. Now, here is Adam saying, you know what, Christian? Come out and explain what the hell happened. And here comes Christian coming on the big screen. Christian's like, look here. You've been trying to call the shots our whole friendship, our whole career. You're not going to come in AEW and start calling the shots out here either. He's like, look, I'm not there. But I'm going to be there on Tuesday. That's Tuesday Night Dynamite this week, you guys don't forget. And he goes, will you be there? And I'm like, wait a minute. He has a match with Luchasaurus, so of course he's going to be there. And then here it comes. Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne comes out. And Luchasaurus' theme song is scary as hell, you guys. They come out, and Nick is still wearing that god-awful sweater. Bro, find something else to wear. Now they come out there, and Adam, he takes his business at first, but then here comes Luchasaurus to put Adam down. So now they're taking Adam, and they're about to do a concerto, and then here comes Darby Allin music hitting. Luchasaurus thinks he's coming down the ramp. However, Darby comes from behind, and Darby's taking care of business. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. We got little lines going on with Darby and Adam. However, when Darby comes out, he have his arm in a brace, and on the other hand, he has his hospital bracelet on. And I'm like, Darby, you've been hospitalized for a whole fucking week? And then I thought about it, and the way Christian manhandled him, throwing him onto those steps, I can see why he probably was there for a week. Now, we do have Luchasaurus that ends up taking control, and I'm thinking, all right, let me sit back. Sting's going to come and save the day, but unfortunately, that does not happen, and they end up taking Darby's fucked up arm and doing a concerto onto that arm, and yeah, no one to rescue Adam or Darby, and we end on that note, and I'm loving it. Now, this was a good episode of Collision. I did enjoy it. I am noticing, obviously, they are putting more and more people onto the show. I don't mind that, but I don't want Collision to feel like Dynamite at any point. It really felt different compared to Dynamite and Rampage before, and now they're starting to do things that kind of is a little bit of a problem at this point, but we'll see what happens next week. We're going to have a really interesting episode with Dynamite. That's Tuesday Night Dynamite. We do have NXT on that night, and WWE are showing how desperate they are to make sure that they get better ratings. That definitely shows me that they do see AEW as a threat. Guys, thanks so much for watching my review. I will be back on Tuesday for Dynamite. Bye.